If you come at the king, you best not miss.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this contest, and
acknowledge us.
Hey guys, we here at Red Carpet Rain. We here to talk about the biggest mistakes Raw made on Netflix. And what we talking about today, guys, we talking about a lot of stuff that happened on Netflix, the just mistakes that need to be corrected. Let's get the likes as we come into the rain. We're going to talk about it. Now, this is the Raw on Netflix debut. We're going to cover the mistakes that happened on this show, and we're going to definitely dive into it. And what I'm doing is I'm exposing Netflix's darkest Raw mistakes. So before we do start, let's go ahead and do what we always do when we come to What Went Wrong series.
Not real.
Trust me.
But that doesn't do anything, man.
So this is what we're going to cover, what went wrong with Raw. And then we'll also cover what could be done right to correct Raw, which will be what's going to be right with Raw, what went right on the show. But mainly, let's call what went wrong with Raw. Figure 4 TV, salute to you. Thanks for coming out. With that being said, let's dive into it. Let's talk about WWE Raw on Netflix, the mistakes that were made, a lot of errors that need to be corrected. Okay, let's begin. All right, to start off the show on Monday Night Raw, now you know that Triple H cut a great promo, talk about the history of face and heels, the history of WWE, history of eras, from golden era all the way to current modern day today. And he welcomed the new universe to Netflix. Also, The Rock electrifies. Now you know Rock was advertised. He showed up, came and talked. He talked to the universe and everything. He talked to cut a promo. He talked about Cody, gave his props. He also had his family with him, his daughters and his wife in there, and his mother. He had the people's title, and basically saying he'll keep his eye on Roman versus Solo match, which would be exactly the kickoff match. Now, this match here, we know that it would be Roman versus Solo. This was going on for quite some time, that it was going to come down to who is the tribal chief, right? Now, we know that it was a good interaction. Solo, he put in that work for real. He definitely put in the work. He had a lot of early offense on Roman, which he did. Gotta give him his props on that. With that being said, since he did that, he came at Roman. He definitely has good dominance, but Roman came back. Now, during this match, and we will see this later on that night, we had a little bit of AW here. We had a little bit of finisher after finisher, kick out after kick out, counter. Had a lot of that going on. And we saw this demonstrated in the first match between Roman and Solo. We saw this happen, right? So with that being said, since we saw this happen, as things were getting crazy, we saw the new bloodline kick in. They interfered of Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. No surprise there. We knew they was going to interfere in the match. It is Tribal Combat rules. Announcers did a good job talking about Roman's shoes, and they also talk about how Roman the last Tribal Combat match, he won. So they highlight that. Also, during the match, we saw not just the interference from the new bloodline, we saw the OG bloodline from uh, Jimmy Uso and Sami Zayn. They both popped out. They both made a save. And then we saw as Roman was going to get the pinfall after he was going to set up for a spear in the corner, we saw KO come out, Kevin Owens. He hit him with a stunner. Then we saw Cody come out. He did the Cody cutter on Kevin Owens. Good way for that. That was good. So no problem with that at all. Other than that, it came down to Solo. He hit the spike. Roman kicked out. After the old OG Bloodline was in there, Roman was finally to capture the spear on Solo, and 1, 2, 3. That was it. Roman is the tribal chief. He gets the Ula Fala in return. Now, with that being said, we did see, however, how it was supposed to originally go get Paul Heyman to crown him that, because he's the wise man. Rock stepped in, he did it. He gave a nod to Roman Reigns, acknowledged him, gave him a hug. That was it. You guys remember that part of right after the matchup. So that was the end of that match. And that was just it with that. Other than that, though, guys, it was a good way to kick off the show. Had my concerns about the finishers back and forth and all that, but it was a good finish. Roman and Solo's no more. We don't have to worry about the feud anymore. It's just we try to see what's next for Roman Reigns. Now that he's defeated Solo, and now he's back to being the tribal chief. But with that being said, let's get on to the next part of the show. Next part of the show, guys, the last time is now for John Cena. Cena came out, cut a promo. Cena said that he does not care about winning world championships or WWE championships. He talked about how his career is coming to an end. He said he's 48. But he said the farewell tour will kick off February 1st with him entering the Men's Royal Rumble match. And he sets up of winning it and pursuing a historic 17 world title. He didn't say he didn't want to do it, but he said he win the Royal Rumble. He could challenge either champion and maybe break the record. But he definitely had a good pop. But we know that he talked about his winless streak over the last several years. I think it's like over 4,000 days. He hasn't had a single win in years. But we know it was set up and announced that he's going to enter the Men's Royal Rumble match. We know that. But also, he said it won't be so much more. He says now it's not only his last one, his chance to etch his name in history books as the most prolific champion. So definitely a good one. But he had the "You Deserve It" chant. But he had us going, but you know that's how Cena do. Classic Cena, right? But let's get on to the next part of the show. Let's get there. But good segment by Cena. Very good segment to kick off his farewell tour. We'll see where that goes. February 1st. Get ready, right? Let's go on to the next part of the show. We had ourselves the first and only championship being defended tonight. The Women's World Championship will be defended. Long rivalry. Liv Morgan champion defense against Rhea Ripley. This feud has been going on since April 8th, 2024 of last year, since Rhea was taken out and out for 3 months. So that's when it really started. But this match here, it was long overdue. Rhea dominated early, but you know we're going to get interference from Judgment Day, Dominic, and Raquel. But Rhea Ripley shut that down. Now, Liv Morgan was able to get some advantage of that interfering, but similar to the Roman and Solo. This match we saw with two finisher after finisher, kick out after kick out, Oblivion, Riptide, kick out. However, in the last attempt, Liv Morgan tried to shut down Rhea Ripley. She tried to hit one last Oblivion. Rhea Ripley looked up at her, smiled, caught her, and hit the second and third riptides of the match. And she put Liv Morgan down. She shut it down like we know she would. She shut it down. She was not playing around with Liv. We knew that was going to happen. We knew it's no surprise there. However, with that being said, since that went on, we also knew that Rhea was long overdue of winning that championship, and she did just that. And now we have Rhea Ripley, who won. She put down Liv, and your winner and brand new champion of this bout is Rhea Ripley. She's your brand new champion. We knew at some given point that Rhea Ripley was going to win the Women's World Championship. We knew that was going to happen. It's no surprise there. It's not. We knew that was coming. We just didn't know when she was going to win it. And now we know she's won it. So yes, Rhea Ripley is your brand new Women's World Champion. Rhea Ripley is now a two-time Women's World Champ. So congratulations to Rhea Ripley. That's good for her. We knew it was coming. It was inevitable. And now it's here. So got to give Rhea her props on that one. Yeet. So congratulations to Rhea Ripley. Congratulations to her regaining the Women's World Championship. But we'll talk more about it, of how her run should go, has to be booked. But definitely good on that part. And this ends Liv Morgan run at 224 days. Well, I think the fourth longest combined days in championship history. I know Bayley's number one. Charlotte Flair's up there, Rhea Ripley, and I think Liv comes at 4. So Liv had a good run as champion. She had a good run, very good run as champion. She did her thing as champion, but now we knew it was time to move on from that, and we knew that her there was no other opponent for Liv Morgan, and now we know that she's going to eventually lose to Rhea Ripley. There are several matches back and forth, but now we know that time is here. So once again, congratulations to Rhea Ripley. Let's get on to the next part of the show. All right, we had Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. This was anticipated. We knew this was coming. And this was a very good, interesting match as well. So Jey Uso, him and Drew been beefing since Drew could not win the championship, the WWE Championship at Clash at the Castle. He blamed Jey. However, since Jey he came to Raw, Drew has ignited that fire. But other than that, though, Drew put out the best dominance that he could. I know Jey Uso had the resilience. Drew had the power and strength. Now, he caught Drew McIntyre a few super kicks, and he even had a spear in there, but Drew kicked out. Now, Drew, he came back. He tried a Claymore, one last Claymore to Jey Uso. That didn't work. He kicked out. Tried another one. Jey was very smart. He dropped to his knees during the match. And however, Jey Uso caught him with a crucifix pin, and a shocking victory. Jey Uso defeated Drew McIntyre. Very good shocking one though. I gotta give it to Jey Uso. Very, very crafty. Very crafty. Very, very crafty how that went down. I like that. Other than that, though, that was good way to send that off. I don't see Drew being down with the bloodline, but at least Jay got a win over him because Jay was getting L's. He couldn't beat Drew, and I'm glad he got a win over Drew. I had Drew to originally win because he's been on a tear since he beat Sammy up. He took Jay out, but this win makes sense for Jay. So let's get to the main event, shall we? The main one. We got CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Now, this feud been boiling since last year when CM Punk returned to WWE. It's been a lot of trading so back and forth between Seth and Punk. Trading insult special the last Raw on USA Network right before of 2024, right before New Year. However, this was good. Seth Rollins had a lot of advantage early on. He hit pedigrees, 2 pedigrees on CM Punk. He did a GTS on CM Punk. CM Punk kicked out of all that stuff. I know one part in the match, Seth Rollins had did the stomp on CM Punk. As we thought he had it, CM Punk put his foot on the rope. Also, CM Punk hit the before he hit the GTS, he hit a stomp on Seth Rollins. They had a good interaction outside the ring. Like I said, what Rollins did the pedigree to CM Punk outside the ring. A lot of near falls. Both men kicked out each other's finishers. Very good parts on that. But it showed during the matchup that Seth Rollins was so focused on the animosity and hatred he had for CM Punk. He was not focused like he should. There were points he lost focus. There were points with a referee while he was had CM Punk in the corner. You know, they got the 5 count. The ref was telling Seth, hey, you're going to get the 5 count, you're disqualified. Seth didn't care. His emotions eventually got the best of him. And I know there were points where while CM Punk was getting back to himself, Seth was getting to with the referee. So that showed the emotion, the high emotion Seth Rollins had in this match. However, like I said, his emotions ended up being the best of him. One point in the match, Seth Rollins had CM Punk on top of the turnbuckle, and Punk in mind games, he slapped Seth. Seth went down. He thought about it. He went up, did the Falcon. He was gonna do a Falcon Arrow, and that's what CM Punk called when he tried to do the last suplex of the Falcon Arrow. CM Punk called with a GTS. He fell out. He fell right into Punk. Punk hit a second GTS. 1, 2, 3. CM Punk defeats Seth Rollins in the main event in the first ever Raw on Netflix, in the first ever main event on Raw on a brand new network. And the fans were happy. Some fans didn't like it. To each his own. But yeah, that was the end of that match. CM Punk is your winner. And Seth was not happy. He looked like he was mad. He looked like he was pissed. He kept walking off, walking behind. He looked like he was disgusted with himself. How can he let his emotions get there? I think what happened is Seth Rollins had realized his emotion got the best of him and ended up costing the match. And he knows that. But definitely a good main event for Raw. So I'll give him a props on that one.
Yeet.
So yeah, that was very good. I like how that went down. But some other things I want to discuss. I'm going to give my review on Raw. What did I think of this show? See what you guys have to say. Yeah, the boost was definitely fire that Roman Reigns had on. Return of the Tribal Chief, no doubt about it. That's right, yeet. But, now you guys see here, It's the match card. We had 4 matches on the card, a segment by John Cena, promo by The Rock, Triple H kicking off Raw, has a backstage segments, all of that. But what do I think of this show? I gotta be honest with you guys. Despite WWE being on Raw and Netflix, despite the hype, despite everything, that's the problem. It was hype. Wasn't what I thought it would be. I give it a 3 out of 5. Show was not all that. It wasn't. Not according to the way WWE put this show on a pedestal. Raw Netflix, Intuit Dome, Los Angeles Clippers Arena. A lot of celebrities in the house. We saw Macaulay Culkin, Topanga from Boy Meets World. We saw Nikki Bella. We saw Tiffany Stratton. We saw Braun Breaker. We saw Kaiser. No, not Kaiser. I'm sorry, we didn't. We saw LA Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura. Logan Paul's in there. Lots of cameos. We saw Vanessa Hudgens again for the 1,000th time. But Seth Green, you name it, the comedian, Gabrielle, whatever his name is, Hispanic dude, you know who he is. I don't really follow him, but he was backstage. But this show is not what I thought it was. It wasn't. I'm sorry, guys, it wasn't. Not the most popular rating that you will see, but it's my rating. And I do not give this show no 5 out of 5. I give it a measly 3 out of 5. Very average. And some people give it a worse rating than that. But I'm gonna explain why. Why I felt the way I felt about this show. I didn't think it lived up to what it should have been. I don't. Definitely not cool, to say the least. At least I didn't think so. But the show here, like I said, they have so much hype for this show, so much plug for this show. And I just thought, like, what could have been so much better. So much better. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to explain why I felt the way I felt about this show. And it just was not the best show. I'm sorry, guys. I know you want that popular opinion, but I can't go out like that. I can't go out like that. I felt some type of way with this show. And I'm going to explain why soon. But it just did not live up to the standards I thought it should have been. You know, it's definitely something to discuss with this whole situation. I get it. It's Raw. I get it. It's the brand new Netflix debut. I get that WWE did everything else behind it. They tried to push the envelope as much as possible. But that's the problem. It just was not to the standards that I thought it should have been. So with that being said, I'm going to get into it now. You guys can feel how you want to feel about it if you don't agree with what I'm saying. But I'm going to get into it now. So with that being said, we're going to go over what went wrong with Raw right now. What were the issues I saw? And I saw a lot of issues. Lots of issues. First day I saw a problem with this show on this Raw. It's an overhyped show. The Rock is a babyface now? Why? And I'm going to explain why later. I know why. But this was explained when this happened all of a sudden. He kicked off the promo. No explanation why. He came in, he talked about, he gave he was just giving props. He's like he was being an ass kisser, man. I mean, how you go from the final boss to the final sucker? That's how I took it. Final boss to final sucker. Anyway, he came out with that week promo. He talked about how he had WWE Day props, talked about Ari Emmanuel, Nick Khan, talked about the Netflix executives, talked about how it was a gate record at Raw and all that, which was great for the Intuit. But he kept saying, Cody Rhodes, I want to give props to you, Cody Rhodes. You're doing great as WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. Tell Mama Rose I said hello. And just act like a real sucker baby face and without explanation why. So I did not like this part of the show. And with that being said, you know what happens if you see something I don't like. You guys should know this by now. Well, if you don't, you don't know now.
What's gonna happen? No. Words? You just made the list.
So he definitely made the list on that. I was not cool with that. That was a weak promo. Whack. And I'm gonna get more into The Rock. And it's so I don't know what to call you. You ain't the final boss no more. Are you the final sucker? Are you the people's champion, the great one, whatever you want to call yourself? But that's one thing I saw wrong. Another thing I saw wrong. This needs to be addressed. Travis Scott smoking during Raw. WTF. Travis Scott came out with Jey Uso during his entrance before his match with Drew McIntyre. I get that he is doing a soundtrack to Raw, the theme song. I get that. And also if you don't know, they help promote Travis Scott. He is doing a soundtrack to WWE 2K25. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. So that's cool too. I get that. I get that. They want to promote that. He got his own hardcore title. I get that too. I do. He's doing a lot of work with WWE right now. I get that. But my God, why did you come all the way down to Jey Uso during his entrance? You had nothing to do with that match. It was about Jey. Jey didn't need you there. And you came down to the audience. You did the yeet thing with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole both standing up on the unannounced table looking foolish. And then Pat McAfee tried to play off saying that it was sage, but we know that was marijuana he was smoking. And I believe there was the California Republic. They allow you to do that, I guess, inside buildings. The show wasn't LA. But this was not cool, especially for a product supposed to be family friendly. So you know what happens when I see something that's going to the left that shouldn't be going to the left.
What's gonna happen? No. Words? You just made the list.
Definitely made the list on that. Was not a fan of that. Definitely not a fan of that. Let's talk about another issue we saw on Raw, because I'm not done yet. I got more issues here. We are not done yet. I'm actually grilling right now. Another problem I saw, no surprise appearance from anyone. No Charlotte Flair. No Becky Lynch. No Alexa Bliss. No Carmella. No anybody. No surprise appearance. The only people that just showed up were the people that advertised, like, for example, The Rock. He was already in LA. For example, Hulk Hogan. That was already advertised. And that was it. The only person we saw, and Undertaker. Now, he wasn't heavily advertised, but we knew he was going to come to Raw. So, just seriously, what's up with that? What's up? So that was a problem. They hyped that we was gonna get a surprise appearance. They hyped that someone's gonna show up, and it didn't have to be Charlotte or Becky. It could have been anybody. We haven't seen Alexa Bliss in over a year. Carmella, we could at least saw one of those two, if not Becky or Charlotte. We didn't even see anybody. No other Hall of Fame legends. Nobody showed up. Reportedly, I heard Stone Cold was supposed to show up, and he declined. Reportedly, nobody showed up in no surprise appearance, and I thought that was whack, real whack.
What's gonna happen? No. Words? You just made the list.
So yeah, I didn't like that at all. Let's talk about another issue I saw on this Raw Netflix. Too many commercials and not ads as mentioned. Now, reportedly, with Raw moving to Netflix and not being on cable TV anymore, now they're on a streaming service. I was told, I read reports it's supposed to be ads, not so many commercials. Tell me, why did we have just as many commercials on a streaming service as just like we did before on a cable service when Raw was on a USN network? There were no ads. It was all commercials, and they were too long. We saw commercials ranging for a good 2-3 minutes. And the show was set up for 3 hours, but it really was 2.5 with all the commercials. So that right there, Netflix, WWE, well, mainly WWE, not cool. Not cool at all.
You know what's gonna happen? No. Words? No, you just made the list.
I don't like that at all. I didn't like that not one bit. So I had a big problem with that too. But I'm not done. I got another issue. And I mentioned his name already, but now I'm going to go into depth more about this particular individual. I mentioned a Hall of Famer that was advertised to show up, and it's this man right here. Hulk Hogan was booed. I know you guys heard it. When Hulk Hogan came out to the arena to help promote the Real American Beer, his line of beer as a sponsorship with WWE, he was heavily booed by the audience. Now, we know he was heavily booed due to his past with his racial slur back in 2015, which led him to get kicked out of WWE before returning to WWE, and also the whole recent stuff with the campaign election back in November with Kamala Harris saying he would body slam her. But my question with this with Hulk Hogan, if we know that this audience, which WWE and Triple H all them knew, if you know this audience really is not big on Hulk Hogan, the 80s megastar that helped put WWE on the map, why send him out there like that, especially that character of the red and yellow Hulk Hogan? Why not the Hollywood Hogan, NWO Hogan? Maybe bring Kevin Nash, maybe bring other NWO members, or that will help alleviate that issue. But you didn't, and you brought out him and Jimmy Hart in that stupid megaphone. This was a bad segment, and the crowd was clearly not behind Hogan, and they don't like Hogan, and I think that we knew that they did not. This new crowd was not a fan of Hulk Hogan due to his past. So that was not good at all, and we already know what happens if something don't go good. We already know.
You know what's gonna happen? No. Words? No, you just made the list.
So this was terrible. Hulk Hogan, terrible. Wasted the time, didn't do nothing for the show. He brought no value to Raw. Nothing. Now, I know he was out there to help, like I said, promote Real American Beer. It was one of the sponsors that's inside the ring for Raw, but still brought no value as a whole to the fans. They wasn't feeling it. They just weren't. Now, did it go about the wrong way, booing him due to his legendary status? Yeah, but fans don't forget when you do foul stuff like Hogan did. They don't forget that you said a racial slur. They don't forget that you even had a racial controversy with your Real American Beer with the black girl back. That's recent too. Fans have not forgotten Hogan. So that was a bad move for WWE. Bad move. Now, with that being said, I'm done with what went wrong with Raw. I'm done with that right now. Now we're going to move on to what went right with Raw. Because despite me coming down on Raw, there's some things they did right in this episode that I do want to applaud right now and take time out to give their recognition for. So with that being said, let me get into that. First thing I want to cover, one thing they did, I like the new sponsors in the ring. I do. I like the new sponsors. As you can see, I mentioned the Real American Beer being one of them. Cricket is another. Snickers. Many others. Netflix, of course. And the biggest one is Fortnite. And no, there's no Prime there. No Prime drink. But these are very good sponsors for WWE. The ring looks good. It actually looked good for Raw, the set and everything. So this is a good business move for WWE, you know. And it shows too with sponsors. We learned that with Prime. If things go down, things go left with a sponsor or the person that's part of that company sponsor with WWE, they will drop you and replace you with another. It's plain and simple. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other sponsors besides Netflix. So WWE's not playing. They're not playing at all. So if you think you're gonna get over on WWE and you got a sponsor and you think that as a sponsor that they need you, this is how WWE is going to approach you.
When this year, I do.
That's how they're gonna approach you. If you think you don't sponsor and they don't need nobody else but you, you're sadly mistaken on that. But that was a good call. Another thing that was a good move on this episode of Netflix Raw. CM Punk defeating Seth Rollins was best for business. Now I know I've seen a lot of people online. They were very upset that Seth Rollins lost to CM Punk in the main event. They said that Punk shouldn't have won. Seth Rollins had to win in the bag. They said this was a bad call in WWE, and they just and these are clearly CM Punk haters. They're against CM Punk, whatnot. But I'm glad CM Punk won because Seth Rollins, let's be honest, he's been getting dubs for the past over a year. The man was champ for 320 some days as World Heavyweight Champion. He's the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion. He was involved in he defeated in that reign. He had feuds with Finn Balor. He had feud with Damian Priest, Shinsuke Nakamura, Drew McIntyre. He defeated a lot of men in that run. He went to NXT to defend the belt, and defeated Braun Breaker. But he had to lose at some point, and he lost against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. And he also was involved in the tag team match, Seth and Cody versus Rock and Roman, which he lost to that too. But it's time for Seth to lose. He's been winning for a good minute, and now he's doing his job. He's putting over CM Punk. CM Punk's clearly the bigger name compared to Seth. So that was a good call. So I got to give them their props on that, and also on the sponsors too. Let's give props on the sponsors.
Yeet.
And let's give a super chat for CM Punk getting the win over Seth Rollins in the main event.
Yeet. Delete. Yes. We believe in Joe Hendry. Suck it. Woo. What? Yeah.
Yeah, this needs to be done. No doubt about it. Good call by WWE. So that's another thing I saw right with this episode of Raw. So that was a good call. I liked how that went down. Very good on that. I had no issue with that whatsoever. Now let's talk about another thing I saw what went right with Raw. Let's talk about it. Another thing I saw that did go right, I would say, aren't we glad that Roman versus Solo is over? I mentioned this earlier, but I'm really glad this feud is over because Solo, let's be real. Paul Heyman said it this past episode on SmackDown. Solo stole the Ula Falafel from Roman. He didn't deserve it. He didn't earn it. It was bestowed on Roman by his late uncle and dad. That's why I meant so much to him back in Hell in a Cell 2020 when they gave him Ula Falafel to begin with. And he's been talking crap about Roman, even when Roman was on hiatus after WrestleMania 40. Now, however, they did face off in a tag team style match. One at, I believe it was Crown Jewel or Bad Blood, whatever it was. Solo's team won. Then, of course, Roman's team won at War Games. And now this feud had to come to a head at some given point. Roman is the undisputed tribal chief. There's no shock that Roman won. Solo did nothing to gain that. Solo was never a champion. especially a world champion. He didn't defeat nobody. The only person he really defeated that was significant was John Cena at Crown Jewel last year. No, I'm sorry, 2023, not 2024. So he knew to earn it. So it made sense for this to end. And we got to see Roman in it too. Let's be honest. Roman needs to move on from this feud and feud with other people of bigger names, like CM Punk or Seth Rollins or whoever the case may be. Solo needs to take a break. He has been doing his thing. Leader of the new bloodline. He helped bring in Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu. You know, he been cutting great promos. He been in some matches. He faced off against Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. He faced off against Jimmy Uso, I want to say. Yeah, interaction with Jay Uso as well. So this feud had to be over, and I'm glad it ended now instead of dragging this all the way out to Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, or even WrestleMania. So that would be said, good call on WWE's end. Very good call on that part. So I'm very gracious that the feud is finally over. Very good. Yeet. So I just got to say, besides Yeet, this is how I feel about this feud right here. This is how I feel about this.
Not this way!
Wrong one. We go back. That's how I really feel about it. It's just that at the end of the day, it's over. It's over. The feud is done. It's a wrap. It's going to be no more of it. Now, some people thought that that this whole thing of Roman and Solo was going to continue, but it's not. This is how it's really happening. You may say not this way, but this is how it really ends.
The streak is over.
That's how it really go down. It's over. Feud is done. It's done. No more of this feud. We ain't gonna hear no more about this. No about ever again. Now, I don't know what's gonna happen with Solo. He come back after he takes his hiatus, but we do know this is finally done, as it should be. As it should. Now, another thing, that's not the only feud I'm happy that's over. Let's get to another part of it. Another thing that went right with this episode of Raw, besides this feud being over between Roman and Solo, another feud over. Rhea and Liv is over. I'm glad this feud is done too. Like I said earlier, Rhea and Liv start feuding back in April. Liv took out Rhea her shoulder. Rhea had to vacate the title. Liv Morgan not only took the title after Rhea vacated it, she also took over Judgment Day, took over Dom, everything. Rhea been working for months and months to gain that back. She was unsuccessful many times, especially with the addition of Raquel Rodriguez to the Judgment Day. But now with this episode of Raw Netflix, despite all the odds stacked against Rhea, of Dominic and Raquel and Liv being sneaky, Liv is now your women's world champion for a second time. So like I said, this whole going back and forth, similar to the Roman Solo with Rhea and Liv going on for months. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. It's over.
The streak is over.
It's over. There's no more of this feud either. Rhea, I'm gonna talk about her title run, but there will be no more of this now. Liv is gonna try to get a rematch. She'll get a little rematch, whatever. But she ain't gonna regain the belt. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. She's not. I don't see it happening. Maybe you guys do. I don't. I don't see it happening. I don't. The chance of Liv regaining this title right now is this chance.
No chance in hell. No.
No chance. She's not regaining this belt. You can forget about it. It ain't gonna happen. This is not gonna happen. So that's how I feel with that. So that's how I feel about that particular situation. Like I said, another good call about um of Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. So now that's what I have for what went right with Raw. Now before I do, that's the end of that. With that being said, before I do get into the current news and bonus round, let me talk about something real quick. I forgot to mention it, but we're gonna talk about the ratings of WWE Monday Night Raw. So let's see what people had to say about this show. Let's see what people had to say about it. First off, if you haven't checked already, check let's check what people had to say about Raw. All right, what would they grade this episode of Monday Night Raw? We had 76% people give it an A. We had 14% give it a B, 6% give it a C, and 4% gave it a D or F. Check that out on my community tab. Also, let's see what people around the community have said about this episode of Monday Night Raw. One person said here, Anthony Marshall, 8311, said, "You sheep are out of your minds. This show is disappointing as hell. Next week will be better, but it was way too much grandstanding." Shout out to Anthony Marshall. You guys also can comment as well as voting on the poll and the community post. But I gotta say, what he said there was undisputed.
And that is undisputed.
And I said that I think he's referring to too many cameos, superstars, and not enough pure cinema like it should be. And I think that's what he meant by that. Anthony Marshall, salute to you. Thank you for commenting on the post on there. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate that. But that's what they meant by that when it happened. Now, with that being said, now we're going to move on to current news in the wrestling world today. A lot of stuff I want to discuss here. And we're going to do that right now. And I talked about this earlier. First off, I said too, why did Rock turn babyface? Why did he cut the promos the way he did on why did he cut the promos the way he did at Raw? Because it was very, very confusing to say the least. Very confusing. I think we all can agree on that. Definitely was. But thing about it was, this is rumored now. This is reportedly. Let's keep it honest here. I want to notate that part. Reportedly. But the reason Rock was acting like a babyface and not like the final boss that we know that he was before, like came out here, applauding Roman and Cody, very unusual of his character. There are reports here, guys, that is said here, and that's been floating around social media. If you guys haven't heard already, it's said that The Rock is supposed to be not at WrestleMania 41. It says here Rock seemingly out of WrestleMania 41. And it said he's supposed to be refilming Moana around that time, and he will not be able to make it to WrestleMania 41 this year, which is why Rock is now acting like a baby face, putting over Cody, hugging Cody, all of that. So that's what's supposed to be going on. If that's the case, WWE is going to shift many stories that were supposed to be towards The Rock's favor. They said Cody or Roman. That's going to be nixed. Cody and Roman will have new opponents, and it won't be either with The Rock. So that's what I heard about that particular situation. That's what I heard. You guys let me know what you think about that, you know. But that's what I heard. I don't know what they're gonna do later on. Like I said, I know Dave Meltzer recently did a report saying that Rock wasn't gonna be there. Say he wasn't gonna be there, and but Rock shut that rumor down real quick. He shut that down, and he said that was not the case. But now it may seem like Rock really may not be at WrestleMania 41. It may not be the case here. So just want to keep that in mind. But WWE got options. They got plenty of other people that could, of course, take that spot. So I'm not surprised to hear that. And Rock he's always filmed a movie. Always filmed a movie. So let's be honest, that's always the case here. Always the case. But we know that's the real deal. So just want to keep that in mind. But that's what I have regarding that. Speaking of which, we are not done talking about current news at The Rock. That was one part of current news that did involve The Rock. But that seemingly is not the only part of the news regarding him, because there is more. I don't know if you guys saw this during a Raw backstage, but there's some more news. And it seemed like after all these years, it's still a Triple H and Rock beef. These guys for years had real life animosity, dating back to the mid 90s when Rock was coming to WWE and Triple H and Shawn Michaels reportedly tried to keep him down, preventing him from coming up, trying to sabotage his push. Bret Hart, the whole story of him stepping in and protecting Rock. Rock went on, we already know, went on to be a megastar and, of course, Hollywood star now. Triple H, of course, multiple-time world champion, Hall of Famer. But we always knew Rock and Triple H always had the Rock is the superstar, megastar, Triple H the wrestler. Megastar, wrestler. They always had a feud, and we see that. Now, reportedly, like I said, at the backstage of Monday Night Raw, after Rock cut his promo, he saw Triple H backstage. Seemed like things was all cool. They was hugging and stuff, talking. Triple H had his hand out for a handshake to The Rock, and Rock simply ignored him, and he played him. If you guys don't remember it, there is a clip about that. If you guys don't remember, it did happen. So Triple H was left hanging by The Rock. Rock went on to shake Roman Reigns, hugged him. Triple H just looked like a sad puppy, looked all sad and down, and embarrassed that this was live on Netflix, the debut Netflix, and in front of millions all across the world. So I know Triple H and Rock, that's, like I said, long rivalry. But I know Triple H afterwards, backstage, was feeling like this after Rock dubbed him backstage without shaking his hand.
I don't care what X wants! I'm Seth freaking Rollins! This place revolves around me!
That's probably how Triple H was feeling. He was not too happy about that. So that sucked. But yeah, that's what happened with that. I don't know if you guys caught that on this recent episode of Raw. But yeah, these two got some beef going on. It's clearly that these two still do not get along. It's clearly these two are not the best buddies. They pretend they play it off like they cool, but they really are not. Let's just call it what it is. They're not. They're not good. They're not on the best terms. It's still animosity between Rock and Triple H 25 years later, or however long it took, 25 plus years later. But you guys get the mist. These two always have some type of rivalry. There's always some beef with these men. But that sucked though. That's just how things are. Y'all get along with everybody. It's gonna be some animosity there. I get it. That's just how things go. And it's always been like that. You know, will it get better? I don't see it happening. But I will say that at least they keep it as professional as they could. And Rock on his end, he already shook Triple H hand. He already talked to him, gave him the hug, like, yo, I did the professional way of speaking to you on camera. I don't need to be talked to like that anymore. I'm not gonna do no extra stuff. So with that being said, I see where Rock was coming from, and he basically told Triple H in so many words, I'm not doing all this extra stuff. It doesn't work for me.
No, brother, it doesn't work for me right now, you know.
So Rock pulled that. He pulled that Hogan. That doesn't work for me, brother. I'm not doing all that. And I can't really blame Rock for that. Because Rock still had forgot Triple H. You tried to dub this man years ago. You tried to sabotage his career and Shawn Michaels years ago. And Rock is clearly not letting that go. Do we blame him? Not really. She should let it go, but a part of him doesn't let it go. It's not letting it go. But you guys let me know what you think of that particular situation, because you never know what happened behind the scenes. Could be way worse than this, but they're definitely not the best of buds. So let's talk about it. All right, with that being said, guys, we are going to move on to the bonus round. And the bonus round's about, we're going to talk about Rhea Ripley. So with that being said, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about her whole thing as being the brand new Women's World Champion. And we're going to see how this new run's going to go. Now, soon I'm going to end things on X and Facebook. You want to check out more of this whole thing regarding that, you're just going to have to come on Red Carpet Rain. So with that being said, let's get into that. Let's talk about it. So give me a couple minutes. We'll get that started. We're going to start this bonus round. Same with Rhea Ripley. She's actually the second woman in the week that was crowned the new women's champion. How to book Rhea Ripley as champion. So let's talk about it, guys. Thing about it is Rhea Ripley, she is the women's world champion now. Well deservedly, she put in the work after months and months and months of chasing Liv Morgan and being screwed over time and time again. We do have your brand new women's champion. But the question is with Rhea Ripley, when it comes down to her, how do you book her as champion now that she's won this title? So we got to talk about that. Now, the thing about it is this was a big moment for Rhea Ripley. Big moment for her. She won the title after defeating Liv Morgan. She hit her with their 3 riptides to win the title. But the thing about it is, this is her second run as women's champion. It's her second time holding the Women's World Championship belt. The first one, of course, defeating Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 39 back in 2023. So, and she held that for 379 days. Tied with Bayley for most days in a single run with the title of all time. But the thing about it is, now we know we got our second run. Not only this is our second run as the Women's World Champion, this is different for Rhea. She is now a baby face. She's not a heel like she was previously with the Judgment Day holding the Women's World Championship in a very dominant run, I might add. So now that Rhea Ripley, she put the whole Liv Morgan feud behind her. Now that's done. Thing about it is how's this whole thing gonna be booked? Because we know that at one point, now I said this earlier and I'll say it again. I will add this to one of the people that she feud with. I do expect Liv Morgan to get a rematch and try to regain the Women's World Championship. But however, I do see her being unsuccessful in defeating Rhea Ripley. I don't see Rhea Ripley win the belt at the Raw Netflix debut, only to lose it a week or 2 weeks later, unless Rhea mysteriously, God forbid, gets injured again, like she did last year. But I do see, like I said before, yes, it will be a rematch of Liv Morgan. She's going to try to get another opportunity to regain this belt back, but it's not going to work. Liv Morgan will be the first one on our list because she is the previous champion. And she had a good run for 224 days or 225, 226 days, whatever days it was. But I do not see her getting the belt back. So we can X that out. This is over. Now, that's one person I'll mention. The first person I'll mention. However, there are going to be some other names that I'm going to mention to who should be facing Rhea Ripley, who are potential contenders for Rhea Ripley's Women's World Championship as she begins her second run and her babyface run as the Women's World Champion. So we got to talk about it. Now, besides Liv Morgan, there will be a list of women here that I'm going to put on this list that she can build good feuds with. So we got to talk about that as well. Now let's go down the list of women that she is going to face for the first time or again, because I can see that happening too. Now we're going to get some stuff that may be revisited as far as a rivalry go. Now, first person I'll mention, it's very obvious besides Liv Morgan, like I said before, the first person I'll mention on the list, her name of a very, very popular star. She was supposed to be, reportedly, she was supposed to be at this episode of Monday Night Raw. This is rumored. But the first person I want to mention is Becky Lynch. Now, Becky Lynch, for what I've heard reportedly, Becky Lynch was supposed to show up after Rhea Ripley defeated Liv Morgan to win her second Women's World Championship. After Rhea won this title, after she won, we're supposed to see Becky Lynch show up and confront Rhea Ripley. But instead, we end up getting the Undertaker come out on his bike, and him and Rhea Raw Sunset put their fist up. But Becky Lynch is going to come back. I know I heard the last minute they decided not to have Becky Lynch at Raw Netflix. However, that don't mean Becky Lynch is going to show up at some point to Rhea Ripley and challenging for the Women's World Championship. Now, before Liv Morgan, it was Becky Lynch who did win the Women's World title in a Battle Royal to become the champion before she did lose to Liv Morgan due to Dominic Mysterio helping Liv Morgan defeat Becky for the belt. Now, I know that too, that I know that this is nothing new. Like I said, it's a revisited feud. We know that. Thing about it is, we know last year, if you guys remember, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I'm gonna mention it again. It wasn't that long ago, not even a year ago. I'll mention it anyway. Thing about it is, we know from past history. We know last year at WrestleMania, we do know that Rhea Ripley did defend her championship against Becky Lynch, which she did defeat Becky to retain her title. But Rhea Ripley was a heel back then. So expect them to have another bout again. But I don't see Becky defeating Rhea for the title. I don't see that happening. But she will come back to WWE. She's supposed to be in a brand new character. Like Rhea's in a brand new babyface character. Becky Lynch reportedly supposed to have a brand new character. Not the man that Big Time Bax or Becky Two Belts, none of that. She had a brand new character. That new character could challenge Rhea's new babyface character. So we'll see how that goes. But Becky Lynch will be a challenger after Liv Morgan to challenge Rhea Ripley for a new title. Is she going to beat Rhea? No, I don't see that happening. But it's a good thought. So let's go over another opponent that could challenge Rhea for the title. Another opponent I'm going to mention right now after Becky Lynch, Io Sky. WWE has loved running with Io. We've seen this as of late. Let's be honest. Io Sky has been involved in a lot of women's programs on Raw. She defeated Bianca Belair, one half of the tag team champions. Io Sky won a battle royal to challenge the Women's World Title. Io Sky was involved in Money in the Bank this year, Money in the Bank last year, excuse me, Queen of the Ring tournament, I believe, and also it was recently involved in the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. So anytime an event, a tournament, or a big match goes on involving lots of women, Io Sky name is always in the hat. Expect Io Sky to be another challenger for Rhea Ripley's Women's World Title. Now, do I see Io defeating Rhea for this belt? No, I don't see that happening. I don't. But she'll be a good challenger. She'll give Rhea a run for her money. And we know Io and Rhea have a history dated back to NXT days. So she will be another person to feud with Rhea and every night a feud. So that's how I see it. So that'll be another one on the list. Now, another person that may come out of left field with this one. I know she's one half of the tag team champs, and she is on SmackDown. Bianca Belair could be a potential opponent for Rhea Ripley's brand new Women's World Title. Let's be honest, Bianca Belair has not held a singles title or a Women's World Title since she lost the belt to Asuka back in what? I want to say 2023. So it's been well over a year. Now, I know she's been doing her thing as tag team champion. One run with Jay Cargill, current run after Jay got hurt, Naomi. But we could expect with the transfer window, if that's still going on, maybe Bianca goes back to Raw. She loses the tag team belt with Naomi, and she wants to become a women's champ again. Maybe she challenged Rhea. They already have a cross-brand rivalry. She could challenge maybe Rhea Ripley. It's not a bad idea. It's not. Now Bianca Belair, similar to Rhea Ripley, they both came up in NXT days. They both did that. But we could see, I'm just saying, maybe we could see a potential feud between these women at some given point. Because let's be honest, guys, there have been times that we saw this in WWE. If you guys remember, we have seen this before. We have seen where they always at one point, if not a long period of time, they have always teased a Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. They always tease that. If you guys remember that, they always tease that these two could possibly have a feud with one another. If you guys remember that. And we saw this many times in WWE. We've seen this before. If you guys remember, we seen this when they was both champions at one point and they had a face-off. We seen that before, that they try to tease a rivalry between Bianca and we saw a tease there once. We also saw a tease at these two at the Royal Rumble a few years ago. So maybe these two could potentially have a feud against one another. We could see a Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. I'm just saying, we could see that happening. So that's another person on the hat. Now I'm gonna save the one person that I see could be the biggest threat. And I said this with Rhea Ripley's last run as Women's World Champion. I can see it being a big threat even still now, maybe more than ever since she returned. Another woman I see could be a good opponent and probably pound for pound, match her pound for pound, Raquel Rodriguez. I could now what makes her different from the rest of the opponents I mentioned, she could be the one to be not only a threat to Rhea Ripley, but to defeat Rhea for her Women's World Championship and become the Women's World Champion. Because let's be honest, after Liv Morgan lost the title to Rhea Ripley, the whole Judgment Day is going to disband. Dominic Mysterio already tried to get back in Rhea Ripley's graces after winning the title. She low-blowed him. And you know, Liv Morgan saw, Raquel Rodriguez saw, they're not going to like what Dom did. We'll see how they address that later on. And they're more likely going to break up. And I think everybody's going to go their separate ways. Liv Morgan may take a break. She put in work all year. Dominic Mysterio going to do his own thing. Finn Balor is already doing his own thing. And JD doing his own thing. Carlito. Expect Raquel Rodriguez to do her own thing as well. And she's going to be a singles competitor again. And she will compete for the Women's World Championship and challenge Rhea Ripley for that title. And she may be the one to defeat Rhea Ripley for that title. And they can have a very good rivalry because we saw where that was going before. We kind of saw them going in that direction with both Rhea and Raquel Rodriguez. We kind of saw that. And this was during actually at Rhea Ripley's last run as the Women's World Champ. We already, like I said, most of these feuds I mentioned, they kind of been teased already. We've seen this before. That don't mean we won't see it again. Like I said, it's just the difference was Rhea Ripley was a heel. But we saw this before where they had a face-off between Raquel and Rhea. So we saw this before, and this with Rhea, first was Rhea coming to her own in a character as mommy. So I think Raquel has what it takes to defeat Rhea Ripley and become your brand new Women's World Champion. But that's the opponents that I have regarding this. These are the women I see, doing that. And they'll be the perfect opponents for Rhea Ripley's brand new Women's World Championship. So I could definitely see that being the case. I don't see it being a bad idea at all. All these women could, well, except for Liv especially, I'm still want to mention her, but I could definitely see that being the case here. So that's the whole thing about that. Now just to do a quick recap. When it comes down to it, when it comes to Rhea Ripley's brand new Women's World Championship that she did just win, this is how the list goes down. We got Liv Morgan. We got Io Sky. We got Bianca Belair. We have Raquel Rodriguez and Becky Lynch. That's all the lists go down. And that could be a good way to set up Rhea Ripley's second run as Women's World Champion as a babyface. So that's all I have regarding how to book Rhea Ripley as champion. Rhea Ripley is your brand new Women's World Champion. You guys let me know what you think. And we also covered WWE Monday Night Raw Netflix highlight for debut show. You guys let me know what you think of that. Check out the content on the channel, guys. I really appreciate that you guys for coming out. Until then, guys, you already know what it is at this point.
Like I say this a lot, we're not a sport, we're a movie about a sport or a TV show about a sport, right? So the interest of all the other...
I feel like the heel turn did wonders for me. There was a sense of reality in that to where I had hit a point and the babyface stuff was going great. The Alpha Academy stuff was going great. We had a blast with that. But I'm a realist and I'm also like a long-term thinker.